excavation that goes back some 2,000 years. And yet, above us, we have all these layers going up to modern times, 2025. And so the question is, well, how does that happen? And it's very simple. So imagine you have a layer, a civilization 2,000 years ago. And then the Romans come in, they destroy that. Then other people come in and they conquer that. You throw in a couple of earthquakes, a couple of more conflicts, and layer atop layer, atop layer, atop layer, until eventually you get up to modern day. Now again, normally, archaeologically speaking, what happens? You'll excavate straight down. But here we can't do that because out of respect for the people who live in this neighborhood today, we can't excavate top down. So we have to support everything above our heads, enabling us to excavate what we're going to see has been called perhaps the most significant archaeological discovery of the last 100 years. And in order to understand that, we have to go back to a busted sewage pipe in 2004. 2004, at the southern end of the city of David. We're talking about right over here. We right now are pretty much right over here underground. We're now talking about a sewage pipe beneath the road right over here. And that sewage pipe bursts. And now the municipality of Jerusalem has to repair the sewage pipe. But Jerusalem is not just another municipality. And the city of David, the place where Jerusalem began, is not just another part of Jerusalem. And here, when a sewage pipe bursts, you don't only send in construction crews, you also send in who? Archaeologists. Right? So the archaeologists come in, they're supervising, the bulldozers and dump trucks are doing the work. And the archaeologists begin to hear scraping, scratching, it doesn't sound right. They clear everyone out, and it turns out that they had found a series of ancient stone steps, 2,000 years old.
They found these?
These, right over here.
Okay.
These steps here, going back to the time of Jesus. And the archaeologists said, well, we know what these steps, these steps here, there's only one other set of steps, and all of Jerusalem look just like these, and these are the steps that go up to the Temple Mount. Right? You're talking about the southern steps with significance to both Jews and Christians alike. And so they said, we know what these steps are. What are these steps down over here? And they realized they'd found the steps leading down to the ancient Pool of Siloam. Now, what's the Pool of Siloam? For Christians, deep significance to the Christian scriptures, the story of the healing of the blind man. And they said in the Bible, there's 3 times during the year when all of Israel has to go on pilgrimage up to the temple. We're talking about Passover, Pentecost, Tabernacles. Now, before you can go up to the temple, what do you need to do? You have to wash, cleanse, bathe, go to a ritual bath. These steps led down to the ancient Pool of Siloam, which would have been the largest ritual bath, perhaps in the world 2,000 years ago. The historian Josephus says you would have had nearly 3 million people who would have made their way on the pilgrimage festivals like Passover up to the temple, but first cleansing themselves here. So the question is, we know where the Pool of Siloam is, about 300 meters to the south of where we're standing right now, being actively excavated as we speak.
And they didn't know where it was.
Not then, right? And now the question is, okay, we know where the pool is. We know where the temple stood on the Temple Mount, another 300 meters to the north. How did all those millions of pilgrims get from the pool up to the temple?
Oh, there's going to be steps.
So they widen the excavation.
That's why it's just walked up.
And they find what has been called the most significant archaeological discovery of the last 100 years. Let's go take a look.
Okay.
And just to be clear, this is all proof that the Palestinians were here thousands of years ago. It's just stupid.
So the question was, we know, it's actually an amazing thing that Yasser Arafat and other leaders of the Palestinian movement, they deny that there's any biblical heritage in Jerusalem. And here's an interesting thing. If you go back to the 1920s, you have a body called the Supreme Muslim Council. Right, so here's a book in 1930. Supreme Muslim Council puts out a brief guide to the Al-Haram al-Sharif referring to the Temple Mount. Now it's published in English. Now, why would the Supreme Muslim Council publish a booklet in English in 1930 about the Temple Mount? Who was meant to read this book? The British, who were stationed in this country at the time. So now the question is, in 1930, what does the Supreme Muslim Council want British people who are stationed here to know about the Temple Mount? Well, it's quite interesting. It says, its identity with the site of Solomon's temple is beyond dispute. This too is the spot, according to universal belief, on which, quote, David built an altar unto the Lord and offered burnt offerings and peace offerings. So in 1930, the Supreme Muslim Council says there was a David, there was a Solomon, there was a temple atop the Temple Mount. Beyond dispute, universal belief, and they quote the Bible. Now, it's a long time ago, 1930.
Why would they do that?
Why would they do that? Because it's true, right? And so 1930, they were just, it was a history book, right?
They went on their jihad.
So what happened after 1948?
Then they have to change.
Right, so now what happens? So now they put out new versions of the booklet. And here's one of the most modern versions of this booklet. Al-Aqsa Mosque, clarifications for misconceptions. Now, what are the misconceptions? Maybe you read the earlier version. So they clarify it very quickly. Dome of the Rock, and not the Holy of Holies. The Al-Burak Wall, and not the Wailing Wall. Not the Western Wall. The Al-Aqsa Mosque, and not the Temple. What
The
was,
Al-Aqsa Mosque has been built on top of it.
right, so what was less than a century ago, beyond dispute, universal belief, is today being erased. Right now, I was here not long ago, had a group of some EU.
Sorry, can you just show us the cover of that?
Sure.
The Al-Aqsa Mosque.
Sure.
bit?
So I was here not long ago with some EU officials who came for an off-the-record visit, and they asked me, they said, what do the Palestinian leadership, what do they think about the city of David? I said, they hate this place. They said, why? I said, well, it's very simple.
Contradicts there.
So the story that they've been telling for nearly a century now is that Israel's a colonial project. We're a bunch of occupiers, colonizers, thieves. We have no history in the land of Israel, and certainly not in Jerusalem. I said, what is the problem with that? The city of David. We are what you could call an inconvenient truth, because everywhere you dig in the city of David, you find antiquities, fancy words for old stuff dating back thousands of years, which show that Jerusalem's biblical heritage for Jews, for Christians, is not simply a matter of faith, but a matter of fact. But I saw they got uncomfortable. They didn't like that. I said, I get it. You know, you want to separate the politics from the archaeology. Totally understand. I have a foolproof way, though, how to do that. They said, okay, tell us. We're very interested. I said, you can put out whatever diplomatic initiatives you want, whatever peace plans you want. You want 1 state, 2 state, 3 states, no states, whatever you want. You could put out your proposals. You just have to do one small thing. They said, what's that? I said, all that has to happen is for the heads of the United Nations, for the heads of the European Union, for the heads of Palestinian leadership to simply acknowledge that the archaeology incontrovertibly shows that the Jewish people, and by extension Christians, have been in Jerusalem for thousands of years. That's it, and after that, do whatever you want. And they looked at me and they said, they'll never agree to that. I said, well, what do you want from us? We're just uncovering the history, we're uncovering the heritage. This should not be political, it shouldn't be controversial, it shouldn't be right-wing, left-wing, religious, secular. This is just history. Here it is. But if you can't accept this history, which shows that we've been here for thousands of years, if that is controversial, I said to them, well, there's really nothing else to talk about. If you can't acknowledge our basic history in this land, that we've been here for thousands of years, that we're not some colonial project, if we can't agree on that, well, you know, then there's not a whole lot we're going to be able to work out, right? And that's the challenge here. Good?
Yeah,
Okay,
good.
so now the question was, we know where the pool is, 300 meters to the south, Temple Mount, 300 meters to the north. How did the millions of pilgrims get from the pool up to the temple? We're standing on the answer. We are standing.
These are the originals.
These are the original flagstones of the 2,000-year-old pilgrimage road. Right? Massive. And what you're seeing here is only one narrow stretch. The road itself is about 5 times wider going across. What the archaeologists are doing now is a north-south connection from the Pool of Siloam up to the footsteps of the Temple Mount. And once they finish north-south, they'll expand east-west. But this is what
How wide do you say it is?
about 5 times wider, about 30 feet. 30 feet or so wide. And you're talking about, this was the biblical superhighway. Anywhere you wanted to go in Jerusalem thousands of years ago, this is the road that's going to take you there. Not a road near here, not stones that look like these. This road, these actual stones. If you come over here, you'll see only one of its kind has been found in Jerusalem so far. It's found here in the city of David along the pilgrimage road. This might remind you of home a little bit. This is the original Hyde Park. This is the original Speaker's Corner. So imagine you had someone 2,000 years ago who had a message they wanted to share, to
They'll be
preach.
still on there.
They're going to get up here,
Ask people what
and if you're interesting, people are going to stop and listen. And if not, someone else will get up and give it a go. Right? If you had a political message, an ethical message, a cultural message that you want to deliver, you're going to get up here and do your thing.
All right, Tommy, let's hear it then.
Oh, well, billboard
Yeah,
creek,
right.
huh?
You need a billboard. Just
Children cannot consent to puberty blockers.
So,
There we go.
you know, people ask all the time, you know, what are the chances Jesus walked this road? I say, look, I don't want to tell you stories. Conservatively speaking, the likelihood that he walked on this road is 100%. So, well, how do you know?
Wow.
Well, it's very simple. If you believe there was a historic Jesus 2,000 years ago, he was Jewish. He went with all the Jews down to cleanse the Pool of Siloam at the southern end of the city of David. He would have then walked up from the pool, along the pilgrimage road, through the city of David, up to the Temple Mount. The Pool of Siloam that we're excavating in the city of David as we speak is 100% the same pool from 2,000 years ago.
The same pool?
We're going to see it. Same
Okay.
pilgrimage road, same city of David, same Temple Mount. Not simply a matter of faith, but a matter of fact. What we're walking on right now is easily the most hallowed half mile anywhere in the world. There is no half mile that you can take more.
The most what?
Hallowed, holy, significant,
Okay.
right? Most significant half mile anywhere in the world. For billions, not for millions. And you can see as we walk down here, there would have been shops and stalls that lined the pilgrimage road.
We're all along here.
Yeah, this is like the main shopping corridor of the ancient world in Jerusalem 2,000 years ago. That you're on your way up to the temple, you want to get something.
Look at the size of these rocks. How much would it take to make this?
Look, Herod, who this dates back to around his time period, was known for two things. He was known for his building ability and for his killing ability. Right? Everything he built going back 2,000 years ago, everything he built is still standing. Whether it's here in Jerusalem,
Everybody can still there.
right? And indeed, there you go.
Original rock, galvanized steel.
Wow.
I'll tell you a quick story.
It's incredible how quickly things just erase from civilization.
Archaeologists
Just
find
get
that
buried.
they had a question, how did everyone from the pool get up to the Temple Mount? They're finding the excavation. They begin to find the beginning of the pilgrimage road, and they find a giant crack in the pavement. And they thought, okay, maybe it's in America what we call a pothole in the street, right? So they said, okay, potholes today, potholes 2,000 years ago. But then they find this one, and they find another one, and another one, and another one, as if someone is deliberately busting open the flagstones of the pilgrimage road. And they couldn't understand, why would someone do that? So they looked at the writings of the historian Josephus. And Josephus says in the year 70, the Romans were destroying Jerusalem. The temple atop the Temple Mount is in flames. The last Jews of Jerusalem are seeking refuge, hiding from the Romans, where? In the drainage channel beneath the pilgrimage road, which looks like this, right? And the Romans find out about it, and they come with sledgehammers, and they shatter the flagstones.
And that's what this
And they
is.
find 2,000 Jews hiding in the sewers, beneath our feet, beneath the pilgrimage road. Archaeologists find whole cooking pots, meaning the people were living there for days, for weeks, for months, until the Romans find them all and kill them all. These were the last days of Jerusalem in the year 70. Now the Romans are so proud of their victory over Jerusalem that they mint a coin. Here is the Roman Emperor Vespasian, and in the year 71, they mint a coin that says Judea Capta. Judea, the name of the country, has been captured or defeated. The capital was Jerusalem. Jews are called Jews because Jews come from Judea. And you see a Roman legionnaire towering above a woman on her knees crying. You can see how proud the Romans were of their victory of Jerusalem. Now if you go to Rome today, you have the Arch of Titus. Now Titus goes on to become Emperor of Rome. But before he's Emperor of Rome, he's the commander of the 10th Roman Legion, which destroys Jerusalem, which destroys the temple. And on the arch, you have the temple treasures being led out of Jerusalem into Rome. The Romans were so proud of defeating this country, of conquering it, of taking away all of the identity, all the treasures, all the culture, that they celebrated it on coins, on arches. But in the years leading up to the destruction, there was a period known as the Great Revolt, the Great Jewish Revolt for freedom against the Roman occupation. And each year of the revolt, they're minting small bronze coins. And scholars have long wondered why. Bless you. Why were they minting these coins? Because the coins at that time had no monetary value. And if they really wanted to fight the Romans, what should they have used the metal for instead of minting worthless coins? To make what? To make weapons, right? So why are they minting these coins? So I want to share with you an answer that I find to be meaningful. But before I do, I want to show you one such coin. This coin here is 2,000 years old. This coin here goes back to the year 67. And it says on the coin, for the freedom of Zion, for the freedom of Jerusalem. That coin,
Okay, hold it up to me.
that coin represented a hope, a wish, a dream, and a prayer that one day
Be free from
the Jewish people returned to Jerusalem as sovereign, that they would get their country back. Now they probably thought it would take a few years, a few decades. They couldn't imagine it would be nearly 2,000 years before that would happen. But in the year 1958, on Israel's 10th anniversary, Israel mints its first commemorative medallion. But there's something strange about this medallion, because if you look closely at the medallion, what do you see here? They've minted
They've used the same.
the Roman victory
Roman
coin.
victory
Now,
coin.
why would you mint a symbol of shame for your people? It doesn't make any sense until you flip it over. And when you flip it
And it
over,
shows the woman standing up.
now
on
it says Israel liberata. Israel's been liberated.
So
the Roman
it
soldier's
goes from the
gone.
Roman soldier over the woman to then showing the woman free of her baby.
Right? And a man working the land
And
beside
a
her.
man building the land, planting.
And this was Israel's response to Rome 2,000 years in the making.
Okay.
And if you think about that small little coin, that hope, that wish, that dream, and that prayer, it took a lot longer than they thought it would. But here we are, 2,000 years later, because they never gave up on their ideals, on their principles, on their values, on their hopes, to one day return and restore their country. And that's what they did here, 2,000 years later. And so you go through hard times, but the secret of Jerusalem is it says in the Bible that the righteous will be knocked down 7 times and get back up. The wicked fall once and stay down.
Not telling us in 2,000 years we're free Britain of the problem, sorry.
Gotta play the long game sometimes.
Wow.
And what's this?
These are the shops and stalls. You're going up from the pool up to the temple. You're going to get here your temple offerings, your souvenirs, your hats, your water bottles. This is your fish and chips, whatever. This is where you're going to do it.
How cool is this?
Rolling Giza.
Now, if you look up there, you see those rusty metallic doors just hanging in space in that wall? That was where the road was. The sewage pipe was down here. Cars would be driving in and out of those doors. Sewage pipe burst, they had to dig all the way down. The bulldozers were scraping up against this, and they realized they found the steps leading down to the original Pool of Siloam. And over the last year and a half or so, they've continued the excavation over here, and now we've gotten a sense of the enormity of how big this pool was going back 2,000 years. So we're standing on the original steps, going back to the time of Jesus. And you see the size, the massive pool that would have been here 2,000 years ago. So whatever you feel as a Jew, as a Christian, whatever you believe happened here in the Pool of Siloam, this is where it was. And this was the beginning of the pilgrimage journey. You'd come here, you'd immerse yourself.
They've just found.
It's being excavated as we speak. This is it, right? So we're excavating the pool, we're excavating the road. We're bringing this one of the most significant half miles in all of civilization, which has shaped civilization as we know it today, whether in the United States, Israel, parts of Europe. This is a bedrock of the heritage and values that have shaped the world for billions of people. And we're bringing it back over here, bringing it back to life, so that people will be able to come and connect with the roots of their identity, of their faith, a place that has a great deal of meaning. And I was asked once, standing over here by journalists, she said, you've spoken a lot about the Bible. Do you actually believe that all these Bible stories are true, they really happened? And I said, it actually doesn't matter what I believe, because there's no place in the world more than Jerusalem where not for millions but billions of people wake up every day and they look to Jerusalem as a source of hope, meaning, faith, purpose, identity, inspiration, more than New York, Rome, London, Moscow, Paris, Riyadh. They look to Jerusalem. And so if you want to understand the world today, past, present, and also future, you need to understand Jerusalem. And Jerusalem is the city of David. And so what we've seen today in our short time together is a small amount of what's been unearthed here, what we're bringing back for people to connect with here in the city of David. There's a lot more to see, and even more that's being uncovered. And so I'll end with the hope, prayer, and blessing that we've been saying for nearly 2,000 years, which is next year in Jerusalem. And hopefully you can take the spirit of this place and bring it back home with you.
Thank you. You're a brilliant speaker.